I heard a thought-provoking story about a guy who came home from losing a very important court case. And he was so angry and so disheartened, he couldn't even look at his family or his wife. He headed straight to his room, closed the door, and stayed there for 5 minutes. That's it. Then he came out, started talking and socializing, and his wife said to him, "Honey, didn't you just lose a really important court case? Weren't you just really upset a few minutes ago?" And he said to her, "Yeah, I really was. I was so angry, I thought I would never get over it. And then I thought to myself, in about a year, I'm going to be over this anger. I'm going to be so over it. I'm going to have moved on. And since eventually I'm going to get there, I might as well just get started now." This reminds me of the fact that on Monday morning, the dishes from Shabbos are still sitting in my sink. Why? Because my lovely cleaning lady comes on Monday, and I know she'll wash them on Monday. But you see, before I had a cleaning lady, I used to wash my dishes Motzei Shabbos. As soon as Shabbos was out, I got to it, because I thought to myself, in any case, I'm going to need to do it, so I might as well just roll up my sleeves and get started now. What does this have to do with Purim and Simcha? There's a famous verse in the Gemara in Tanis which says, "Mishenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha." When Adar comes in, happiness is increased. Simcha is increased, which we often translate as happiness. The Amoraim in the Gemara were actually countering a pasuk, a verse in the Mishnah, which talks about the idea that when Av comes in, we lessen our simcha. Simcha is diminished, decreased when we come into Av. As we know, Av is the month where the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, both Batei Mikdash, and terrible things happened to the Jewish people in the month of Av. So there, Simcha is diminished. And in Adar, Simcha grows to a greater capacity. What is Simcha? It's important to understand. So I'm going to give a definition of Simcha, which is not just joy or happiness. Simcha is a feeling that follows living with an awareness of being in Hashem's picture and an understanding that Hashem is the ultimate goodness. When we live with this awareness and when we live with this understanding, then we experience Simcha. So now we can understand in Av it's very difficult to feel besimcha. Our simcha is diminished because in Av we experience loss and destruction. In Adar, it's much easier to experience simcha, this sense of Hashem taking care of us, because Adar is a month of salvation. We actually came out from under the threat of destruction to see our salvation. I'd like to suggest that if we change the nekudot, slightly change the vowels in the word marbim and ma'atim, we'll find something interesting and learn from it. Mishenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha. So normally we understand marbim to mean increase, but if we change the vowels to me rabim, then we understand it to be that from the many there is simcha. In Adar, many people feel b'simcha, whereas in Av, it's mema'atim. From the few, there is simcha. So the question arises, why is there simcha at all in Av? And we can answer it with the understanding of simcha as we've explained it, that it's an awareness that we're in Hashem's world and Hashem is the ultimate goodness. And how do the few find the strength to come to simcha? I believe they have three qualities: self-awareness, intelligence, and honesty. They are self-aware of the fact that they are asking why they're suffering. They're asking why, and they're aware that they're asking why, and they are intelligent enough to say, if I'm asking why, I'm presuming there is reason and purpose. If I believe that everything is random, then I cannot logically ask why. So their self-awareness and their intelligence then leads them to the next stage, which is honesty, and they realize if they actually do have faith that there's purpose, then they need to find simcha, and they move towards simcha even in the darkest of times. Haman came from Amalek. Amalek is the nation that represents the force that pushes the idea that there is random coincidence and purposelessness. I'd like to say that Simcha is to Amalek kryptonite is to Superman. Or maybe a better example is as the water is to the witch in the Wizard of Oz. That simcha completely destroys what Amalek is trying to fool us with. And since, in the end, we will all be besimcha, we might as well roll up our sleeves and start heading there now. Good Shabbos.